Hello to all my foodies out there. We are back with another recipe this week. I am back to Baking Yesteryear. I'm finally making the pork cake this week, which is actually a quick bread and not a cake. There is actual ground pork in this, and I am really curious to try it, see how it is, check out the process of making this. I've never made anything like this before, so it will be interesting. Um, it has been something that I have been wanting to make for quite a while now, just the weather has not been cooperating because it does have to bake quite a while. The um, book says to bake it 70 to 90 minutes, which is an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and a half. And with over the summer when it was super hot, I just couldn't justify having my oven on for that long, but it has cooled down quite a bit. It's still really nice where I am, but definitely cooled off enough so I can make this now. So let's get started. All right, so for our pork cake, we have some ground pork here. I am using about half a package of it as per the recipe. Um, that would be something depending on how big of a package of ground pork you got. Mine, for what the recipe calls for, is a half a package. I've got some molasses here, flour, water, baking soda, and salt, sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. I've got some eggs. And then in here, I've got dates and raisins. So that is everything that we need for the pork cake. Let's get started. The first thing that we are going to do is boil our pork. So I'm going to get that ready and I will be back. All right, so I've got my pork and my water in my pan here. We are going to bring this to a boil and then let it boil for 2 minutes, and then we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool. It did say not to discard any of the water that was left over, so I will just leave everything in the pan and take it off the heat when it is done. So for now, I am going to bring this to a boil. When I have the pork done, I will be back. Alright, so I do have my pork done. I did kind of break it up as it was cooking. I think I did end up boiling it a little bit longer than the 2 minutes that it called for, but not too much longer. It does look like it is mostly cooked, but not completely cooked through. It will continue to cook in the oven. As it bakes into everything, but like I said, it does look like it is pretty well cooked. Like I said, not completely cooked through because I am seeing a little bit of pink in there, but cooked through enough that I am not concerned with putting this in my batter for the rest of it, or for the rest of the bread. So we are just going to let that sit just like that, and we shall continue. All right, so in here I have my sugar, spices, baking soda, salt, molasses, and eggs. Oops. And our raisins and dates, I forgot to add those. I am going to get this all mixed up, and then I am going to add the pork and the water, and I will be back. All right, so I have all of that mixed up. It looks really good. It smells really good. I love the smell of the spices and the molasses together. We are going to jump in the pork and the water. I am going to get this all mixed up, and then I will be back. All right, so I do have that mixed up. I did try to break up my pork a little bit more. I am going to add my flour now and continue to try to break up some of those bigger pork pieces in here as I am mixing in the flour, but it is looking pretty good, I guess. It's definitely interesting as far as the method and everything. It smells really good, and I can't wait to try it. So I am going to get my flour mixed in, and I will be back. All right, so I've got that all mixed up together. I've got it in my pan. I'm going to pop this in the oven and get it baking. It did mix up really well with the flour. The recipe did say that depending on the pork that you're using, you might need to add additional flour. I did not have to with the pork that I had, so that is good. I'm hoping I got all the big pieces broken down enough. It looked like it. It is kind of hard to tell because of the dates and the raisins in the batter, but it looks like I don't see any big um, pieces of pork still sitting in there, so hopefully it is okay. I guess we'll see when it is done, but like I said, I didn't see any big pieces of uh, pork still sitting in there. It does look really good. Um, so yeah, I am going to put this in my oven, and when it is done, I will be back. All right, so my bread is done. I gotta say, it was really hard to tell if it was all the way done. I did bake it um, within the recommended time. It said 70 to 90 minutes. I initially put it on for 70, but then did have to bake it longer. But I did not bake it the full amount of time at the 90 minutes. But like I said, it was still kind of hard to tell if it was done. It seemed like every time I checked it, there was still batter um, on my toothpick, as you can see from all the holes in there from all the times I checked it. But I do think I finally have it to where it is done. I'm going to let it cool and then try a piece. It does smell really good. It does smell like a gingerbread, which I do really like. So I am curious to see how this tastes. It does look really good as well. Um, After I give it a try, I will be back with my final thoughts. All right, so I am back with my final thoughts on the pork cake. I gotta say, I didn't like it. The flavor was okay, but I did not like the texture. Um, in it, there was pieces in it that were really hard to eat, almost like it had nuts in it, but there are no nuts in it. I don't know if it was the dates or the raisins or the pork or all of it, if I overbaked it or what, but I gotta say, I just really did not care for this. I honestly didn't even finish the piece that I cut for myself um, because I just did not like it. Like I said, the flavor itself wasn't bad, but just the overall product of it, I didn't like. There was still big pieces of pork in there, which I didn't care for, and that was kind of a turnoff for me as soon as I cut it. So I don't know if I should have broken those up a little bit more as I was boiling it. The recipe really was not that clear on that. Um, I might have overbaked it a little bit, but just overall, I am really disappointed in this because I was really excited to give this a try. I thought it was going to be a lot better than what it was. Um, I don't think I will make this ever again. Um, it just, I don't know, like I said, I was just really disappointed with how this turned out. I did not like the hard texture that was in there. And like I said, I don't know if that was because I overbaked it or if that's what happened with the pork when it was baking or with the raisins or the dates in it or something, but it was really difficult for me to eat. Um, the flavor was similar to like a gingerbread or like a spice bread, but I would much rather just make a regular gingerbread or spice bread and have that similar flavor and have something that has a better texture to it. Um, so yeah, there it is what it is. Um, Next week I will be back with another recipe, probably the Lady Baltimore cake that is the next recipe in the book. We are kind of now back on track with our recipes in Baking Yesteryear. I am also looking forward to trying the Lady Baltimore cake. I've seen recipes out there for them, but I've never made one, never had one. So I am looking forward to giving that a try. Hopefully that turns out better than the pork cake did. Just overall, I was just disappointed. I gotta say, the pork cake is now my least favorite recipe out of this book so far. Um, but that is okay. I know I probably won't make it again. Um, if you've made this pork cake recipe and yours has turned out differently, please let me know what you did. Because I don't know if it's was something I did while making it, such as like not bringing up the pork enough, or if I overbaked it, or if that's just how the recipe is. So if you've tried it, and let me know how yours turned out. Um, until next week, good times, good food. Bye.